G'day, Bomber fans. Another week, another loss. That is 7 in a row now, I think. I could be wrong. I've lost count. But yeah, we go down by 48 points to the Giants. Thursday night footy didn't go well. But honestly, it's probably the best footy we've played in a while. And that is, I don't know, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It is tough to know anymore. I take both positives and negatives from this game. I think there was, a lot to take out of it. But yeah, the Giants were just bigger and better in the end. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this game of footy. Leave your votes in the comments below. Quarter by quarter recap. Yeah, despite the score, which again was not great, we were playing with positive intent. I thought we were honestly the better team out there. We were restricting the orange tsunami. We were not letting the Giants get looks inside 50. We were getting looks inside 50. Unfortunately, we were just missing everything. Easy shots, hard shots, we were missing them all. The Giants, they were honestly gifted 2 goals by the umpires. Angus Clark must have upset the crew somehow before the game because he gets pinned twice for holding the ball and both were just not there. But the thing is, the Giants, they took their chances. We didn't take our chances. The Giants took theirs. The umpires were not the thing losing the game for us. It was our poor conversion and the Giants' elite conversion. The difference between a good team and a bad team. It was 5-12 at quarter time. The second was more of the same early, except, as the quarter went along, the Giants really got going. They started to maul us out of the middle of the ground. It was pretty brutal. Vigo was having a tough night, unfortunately. Briggs was an absolute bully. But yeah, the Giants, they made us pay. They were killing us out of the middle, scoring with ease. And then on the flip side, we weren't scoring with ease. We had more chances, more misses. It was 0 goals 8 at one stage to I think 7 goals 1. The same amount of scoring shots, but it was a 6 or 7 goal margin. And then finally enter Liam McMahon on debut, the only Bomber to kick a goal in the half. What a moment for him. And yeah, we went in at halftime with 2 less scoring shots, but down by 37 points. The Giants were just simply put the better team out there. The third, I thought we evened out that term pretty well. We kind of managed the midfield battle a bit by moving right into the ruck a lot more. Vigo would eventually be subbed out of the game. It felt like the most natural quarter of footy. Both teams were a bit maybe lackluster in defence given the exhausting back and forth nature of the game, but it meant both teams could hit the scoreboard. McMahon kicked his second, Kako kicked his first. We saw a nice team goal finished off by Archie Perkins. So there were some really nice highlights in the quarter, but it was really the Jake Stringer show for GWS. He was doing heaps for the Giants, which honestly is good to see. He didn't want to leave the club. I don't get the boos. We forced him out. It's good that he's able to play good footy at a club that wanted him. The last quarter was really even. It felt like the intensity wasn't really gone either. That's the good thing. The Giants, they needed goals. They needed a percentage boost. They weren't going to rest the game out, and we kept it pretty close. More missed chances, unfortunately. We only lost the quarter by under a goal. Kind of the theme for most of the game. More scoring shots, but lost the quarter. I thought despite the scoreboard, for most of the game, it was an arm wrestle. It was that second quarter that they won by 5 goals that really did the damage. In the end, the Giants ran out winners by 48 points. Really comfortable win, expected result. Plenty to talk about, good and bad. So let's get into it. All right, so for me, if Essendon were to get close in this game, I thought we would have to be ultra effective in front of the sticks and hope that the Giants were not. So when we were 0 goals 8 and they were 7 goals 1, you knew that it wasn't going to go that way. It wasn't a great feeling. I didn't expect us to get close and didn't think we really needed to in this particular game. Obviously, the boys are trying to, and they should be, thinking that they need to. But as fans, I guess we kicked ourselves out of the game. We missed so many gettable chances. They kicked goals they shouldn't kick. I'm recording this soon after the game, so I don't have the expected score from chances stats, but I wouldn't be surprised if ours is higher or close to theirs. We had 3 less scoring shots than the Giants in this game, but lost by 48 points. That is, it's not great, and it's a big negative from the night, but also, in a way, a big positive. We were right in that contest. For everyone going on about the game plan under Scott, we were right in this contest and creating opportunities, almost an equal amount of opportunities to our opponent, who are in the top 4 now, I think. Even with the midfield being completely one-sided, like realistically, Vigo is not yet an AFL ruck. I'm not worried about him for the future, but he was bordering on liability, which, young players often do. That was half our team last week against the Tigers. It's not a criticism. That is just how being a young player works. But our midfield was getting completely monstered, and despite that monstering, we won the territory battle. We had 4 more inside 50s, despite having less of the ball, less out of the midfield. I thought the way we were playing was stacking up. there wasn't much backwards footy. If anything, at times we were too direct. I thought we gave ourselves a really good opportunity to be in that game, but we just unfortunately kicked ourselves out of it. That's the weird irony of this game, is that, if we were a bit straighter in front of goals, it could have been a close game of footy, but it wasn't. I don't think we win if we were kicking straight, but I genuinely think the 48-point margin flatters the Giants. We were better than that margin, I think. Let's talk about the midfield battle, because, this is what made the game so tough. Vigo, unfortunately, was just bullied, and that is fine. That is going to happen. That is the argument done for everyone wanting him to play out the season. It might fast-track his development to get some games in, but it sets the rest of the team back on the field. I like him coming in for Goldie when Goldie is tired, but he is not ready to be playing rucks like Kieran Briggs week to week. Even just, 1 week, he's not. It was a proper mauling. It was hard to watch. And it meant that the Giants were killing us out of the middle. I think I heard that they had plus 50 points from clearance. You take out Goldie, you take out Caldwell, Parrish, even Setterfield's a really important player because we couldn't tag Tom Green even though we tried to. It meant that guys like Perkins and Durham have to try and contain Tom Green. Even Andy McGrath at one stage was in the midfield because Durham went to the forward line after that knock. So I thought we looked better when Vigo was subbed out and right rucked. We evened out the midfield battle and that's what got our scoring back. Durham went down. It meant that our already undermanned midfield was on its last legs, and you got McGrath in there. Gresham went in there and had a team-high 9 clearances. And somehow it just started to work a bit more late in the game. We didn't get much going from there, but that's fair when you take all those players out. But we did manage to stop their dominance a bit, and that first half, especially that second quarter, it was pretty brutal. And there's a reason for that. That is the main thing setting us back in this game. It was personnel, I think, and that wasn't the case against Richmond or maybe even Gold Coast. So that is a positive to take out of the game. That you can clearly say plenty of the issues were due to personnel. Lots of skill errors, like there has been all year. There were plenty of really frustrating moments from young players and leaders. Again, there was that lack of synergy, players kind of kicking to spots that they aren't leading to, and you can blame the kicker a lot of the time, but a big part of that is just the lack of connection in a team that is so young, so new to each other. You've got 9 debutants playing in this game, 4 mid-season draftees playing in the one team. So that is a sixth of the starting lineup has only just joined the team a month ago. There's of course going to be a lack of connection going forward. Most debutants in a season since 1991, you're not going to have a good team. If it's a good stat, it's a good little piece of history to have the equal most debutants, but it's going to mean you're a bad team. That's the unfortunate truth about it. And I think as the years gone on, I've started to care less about the skill issues, obviously within reason. Like there were some kicks that you can't pin down to synergy and connectivity. There was just some bad ball use, but there was also some really good ball use and some really good intent around the field. I thought our pressure was great for most of the night. We really matched it with young players. They didn't just go out and drop their heads. And a big part of that was the intent shown by the leaders around them. That, I think, was a big positive for me. I thought last night we saw a big step up from a lot of the leaders. I thought McGrath sticking up for his teammates was awesome. Merritt going about business as usual. Peter Wright, I thought, showed leadership. Jordan Ridley. I felt like there was leadership this week, whereas last week there wasn't. And it felt like there was a better group of performers from our young players, unlike last week. Last week, half the team was kids and they weren't getting it done. This week, the kids were getting it done again. I thought Clark was really good. Roberts was battling hard. Kako had a quieter game, but with high impact. McMahon on debut, slotting goals that others couldn't kick. No, when you really think about it, we had a forward line which consisted mostly of mid-season draftees. 3 of our forwards were picked up a month ago. You are never going to be able to build connection with that. That is just, it's unheard of. But despite that, I thought we looked okay moving the footy. I think the fun thing about this game is the headaches it now creates for Matt Rosa, our list manager. You look at some of the senior players, there were some who, maybe didn't show as much as they would have liked. And then you throw in the mid-season draftees who, they're showing signs. I thought McMahon on debut was awesome, kicked a couple of goals. That's exactly how he plays in the VFL, by the way. He doesn't get heaps of the peel, but he manages to hit the scoreboard. I thought Smart showed a few really good signs. We do need to see a bit more of him. Blackiston and even Jackson Pryor, like those two, I want to hear your thoughts, but I think they both deserve another year. Their defensive efforts were great. There were some big mistakes. Blackiston palming the ball straight to a GWS forward was painful, but there are really good signs from some of these players who have, drawn criticism. It's giving Rosa a lot to think about. I really do think there is room for quite a bit of change at the end of the year, and that's going to set us back a bit in the short term. But when you have these young players showing signs, I think it makes sense to stick with a lot of them. Some really good performances from individuals, despite being out of position and and whatnot, so maybe not so good performances from others. Players building, that's the positive thing. You know, I thought there was some horrific performances last week, but, you know, you could forgive kids for going to their shell, but to see Clark and Kako and others look so energetic early, it's just good to speak glowingly of the kids again after a pretty poor performance from them all last week. Now, look, honestly, I think all things considered, and I know I'm going to get roasted for being positive from a big-ish loss, but I thought the effort was there. I thought the intent was there. What wasn't there was execution and polish and just size in some cases. Like the amount of times that young players were just brushed off in tackles. You know, if Clark is 3 years older, he is sticking tackles and the Giants aren't moving the ball as easy in some instances. There's a bunch of players like that. You know, you can point to players just needing a pre-season or two, and that's the issue with them. Connection, if it's this time next year, you know, May isn't getting lost in the same forward line as other mid-season draftees. Some leading patterns were just sometimes not great, and that's understandable. Again, you cannot expect kids to come into a new setup and star within a month. Think about how teams navigate debuts, right? That they get a pre-season with a club, they train with them, and then weeks in the VFL, and then, you know, they come in mid-season to play their first game a lot of the time. These 4 guys have come into the team within a month of arriving. They probably don't even know some of the guys on the list right now. Like, they probably haven't spoken to all of the 47 players, but they have to go out against a top team and be in sync with those players. And if you're taking a glass half empty approach from this game, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not trying to make excuses, but personnel 100% had a huge impact on this game, and that's the way I see it. I thought we were, you know, really in this game. We were controlling it a lot of the time, in fact. I think we were matching it with the Giants, but, you know, what we didn't have was execution. I thought we didn't have size. We didn't have, you know, a few things that just you can excuse in a game like this. Yeah, I thought, you know, in front of goals, execution, that is the frustrating one because there are no excuses for that. There are players, senior players, who should be so much better in front of goals, and they weren't. And I thought if we kick those early goals, maybe the game changes. But yeah, I think I come out of this game feeling not good about the present. We're obviously a very crap team. But I feel like there is a clearer view on who we need on this list and what we don't need, and there's clearly a formula there that it not only restricts teams but gives us momentum going forward. I think with everything going against us, with all the injuries, even in game, you know, Durham having to be thrown away from the guts, Vigo getting bullied, I thought we didn't disgrace ourselves at all. I think the next few weeks we might. That's when it gets really ugly. I think the Dogs and Cats, those games, they're not going to be fun. But if we keep, you know, trying to play like we did in this game, it's not going to work. We're not going to win games against good teams, but we're at least giving ourselves an opportunity to learn more about each other and play footy that can hold up. I think we could have, you know, come to this game losing by 2 or 3 goals if we parked the bus and chip it around in the back line, but we didn't. Instead, we took the game on and really tried to make something out of it. It didn't work, but I think, you know, us trying is better than getting a close loss. So, yeah, I think the intent was there. I'm not too unhappy with this game. And from the looks of things, no more injuries or serious injuries. Durham was fine in the end. I think Archer May might have broken his nose, but I think he should be okay. He might even get a rest for Caddy coming back. But, yeah, no more proper injuries, touch wood, because, you know, last time we've said that, billions of players have gone down. Okay, votes. Genuinely a tough week for it. And that's fun. You know, it's good to have a tough weekend to pick votes for a good reason. I've gone one from each zone, kind of. I've gone one vote to Xavier Dersma, who had some iffy moments, but provided so much run on that wing. You know, really rounded game. 20 touches, a goal, 6 intercepts, the 4th most for us, 6 involvements. 2 votes to Peter Wright, who was massive late in the game in the ruck. He really helped minimise the damage the Giants were doing, but he also managed to hit the scoreboard a few times. 2 goals, probably could have kicked more. 3 votes to Jordan Ridley again. I thought he just looked so solid back there. He lost, I think, one-on-one against Aaron Cadman. That's the only time all game that he didn't look reliable. He was intercepting everything. I think he had 9 intercepts, the most for us, using the footy so well, never making mistakes. He has really impressed me since coming back from injury. And the role player, speaking of impressing, Lockie Blackiston. This guy is genuinely playing good footy. He's making mistakes, as I said earlier, kind of palming it down to a player in the goal square, but he's showing really good signs in a role that he has never played before. So yeah, interesting. But no, some good performances from the game. I thought Merritt was good, McGrath was good, Pryor and Redmond down in defence. But yeah, that is that. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Let me know how you felt about the game in the comments down below, and go Bombers.